Here is Tucker Carlson, who is very, very concerned.
Oh, really?
He's just so...
Oh, it's a question. Oh.
He's just so surprised. He can't believe how sort of melting pot extremists we have that are running our government. Go ahead.
Fulo Saipov rammed a rented truck into more than 20 New Yorkers, screaming Allahu Akbar. 8 people were murdered, and the country is once again asking why. But the answer this time is obvious. Those 8 people are martyrs to a diversity cult worshipped by a ruling class. Saipov was an Islamic radical from Uzbekistan who worked as an Uber driver. He wasn't a physician or an exceptional scientific mind or a business magnate. He was doing a job literally anybody could do in a country where we have, to this day, a severe shortage of low-skilled jobs for the poor in our working class. Why was this man even in our country? Well, he was here because this country's leaders have decided that diversity, in and of itself, is of greater importance than the well-being of this country's people.
Again, we had a terrorist attack in the 90s that was prevented by someone from Egypt who was brought in on this exact same visa. I don't know if they were a doctor or not.
Business magnet?
I don't know. My belief is they are not a business magnet. But the idea that this country is strengthened by having immigrants is not a relatively new one. In fact, it has been here almost as long as we have felt it appropriate to oppress people of other colors. As a country. So the idea that somehow there's, we now have diversity extremists in this country is not a recent phenomenon. In fact, it was what built this country and made this country, gave it some of its best attributes. So that's probably why. But what he wants to do is pit diversity with making this country better, as if he wants to make America great again with a fundamental part of America left out. Meanwhile, he goes on to, Tucker Carlson goes on to, he's shocked, right? With this guy, he's talking to Mark Krikorian. Who is Mark Krikorian? Who is this guy again?
He runs an immigration think tank.
Oh, he runs
an
immigration think tank. Yeah, here we go. And this is where Tucker Carlson thinks he's found out the worst thing that happened to black people in this country.
Everyone wants to come here. Why are we handing out green cards on the basis of a lottery?
People have been saying this repeatedly. In fact, the House a number of years ago even passed a bill to get rid of the visa lottery, and it didn't go anywhere. It always comes up.
So who's lobbying against it? I mean, just let's put a fine point on this. Where is the lobby that wants to preserve something that makes no sense?
There's two forces protecting it. One is narrow, one is broader. The narrow one, interestingly, is the Black Caucus, because they have now come to adopt this as their pet immigration program.
Pause it for 1 second. All right, just you got to admire. I want to go back just a little bit. You got to admire the expertise of Fox News. As they are slamming immigrants, they're also going to slam any type of established black power in this country. Now, of course, we all know how much power the Black Caucus has in this country. After they were done with the reparations and after they were done with providing all of this job training for the African-American community in this country.
How many profiles get written on the Elijah Cummings budget?
It is unbelievable.
It's relentless.
The way that they got the Supreme Court to gut the Voting Rights Act, that was brilliant. We all know that if there's a policy in place, of course,
all to set the stage.
the Black Caucus has to be behind
The Black Caucus veto.
Of course.
Black Caucus is ruthless.
They're ruthless. And they even do this even when their own party is out of power.
They still run everything around here.
It's unbelievable.
If you go to D.C.,
But
they'll always tell you it's the black guy who's in charge.
Let's go.
One is narrow, one is broader. The narrow one, interestingly, is the Black Caucus, because they have now come to adopt this as their pet immigration program, because a lot of people from sub-Saharan Africa come through it. And so that's the kind of narrow issue. The broader issue.
Let me just say, has any
pause it for one
policy-
second. Pause it for 1 second. So this is to drive sub-Saharan immigration.
We are here and we are part of the Black Caucus. Get out of my car. You are a white devil. You cannot vote in America anymore.
That's
The South Sudanese are the most important part of America. We have fled civil
just
war,
go
mass
back
rape,
just a
and
little bit,
killings,
because
and
it
now
gets
we
even
run
better
this
than
place.
this. Now that they have Fox has made it clear that our entire immigration policy of lottery-based immigration is a function of course, the Black Caucus, which controls all the power, and their obvious agenda of wanting to have more sub-Saharans in this country. Tucker's response is this.
Immigration program, because a lot of people from sub-Saharan Africa come through it. And so that's the kind of narrow issue. The broader issue.
Let me just say, has any policy, any single policy in modern America hurt Africans more than our immigration?
No, it's a good question. And in fact, even African immigration is actually a problem for Black Americans.
Look at the numbers. Exactly.
Pause it. I wonder if we could come up with any single policy that has hurt African Americans more in this country than the lottery-based immigration policy. Let's see. What could it be?
I might even be PC enough to suggest that, like, I don't know, redlining. But, you know,
I
I'm a
was going
fucking
to say,
liberal.
not just redlining. In fact, we know of all those mortgages back in the post-war years, specifically excluded Black people. And then, of course, there was the leaving them out of Social Security, largely jobs that were held by
You don't want to be
African-American.
on Social Security anyways. It breeds a dependency.
that whole thing with the vote, denying them the vote for a huge portion of our history of our country, and then all of the subsequent voter disenfranchisement that has been aimed at them.
We have stopped that decades ago. Stop going to history, old man.
The drug war.
Now Black
Drug
people...
war is also a good one.
The drug war is worse for white people.
Slavery.
I'm not trying to be PC.
Slavery.
When
is
do
in
I get
there.
on Dave Rubin's show?
Jim Crow.
Jim Crow. Oh, Jim Crow. That's good.
Jim Crow wasn't pretty. It was kind of tough stuff, but it's really as bad
Segregated
as
schools seem to resonate.
segregated schools were a strong signal, but I don't think they're as bad as a lottery system. We need to be a little rational.
Let's see. I mean, yeah. Wait, we went over the whole thing about them being property, right?
Next, you're going to mention the Fugitive Slave Act.
That's also okay.
Maybe the whole time where they weren't technically human according to the Constitution. I guess you could
Yeah,
include that
yeah,
too if you are
yeah,
a real social
yeah,
justice warrior.
Yeah.
They weren't part of the GI Bill either. I guess
Okay.
you will probably
Fair
want
enough.
to add that with all of your white liberal tears.
Fair enough. Gosh, I can't come up with any more off the top of my head.
But the one thing you're not
Wanted,
brave enough to talk about is the lottery system.
That's right. The lottery system.
It
That's
is the worst.
And the lottery system.
There are jobs in illegal restaurants where you are paid under minimum wage. And then many black people would want this, but they cannot have it because we are being exploited instead of them. This is what Tucker is talking about. You have no courage.
I thought they were all black Africans, according to these people.
No, he corrected himself.
Well, when you are not posing in suicide girls, you
how
are
they're-
trying to
I wonder-
excuse the violence in Chicago.
I wonder how they're
You
doing
people
it.
are disgusting.
Tyson Chicken, hiring without those immigrants.
We don't do Tyson chicken. That is for the
Spacebar.
Mexicans. Sorry, not to be PC.
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos